Waiting for it to go live. Live. Perfect. Hello and welcome, everyone. I am Bryant. Welcome to Coffee Wednesday. This might look a little different because I'm currently in my church's kitchen because we are remodeling our kitchen at home. So I couldn't do Coffee Wednesday from home, but I am alone in my church. Fully had my hands clean before I got here, washed my hands once I got here. And we, during our Coffee Wednesday time today, are going to be baking some cookies because nothing says joy like baking cookies. So here we go. I'm going to unplug that for a while. We always have to start out. We need our coffee. There it is. There's our coffee. Oh, man. It's time for coffee. We're going to be baking chocolate chip cookies today because chocolate chip cookies are truly the best and most soothing cookie out of them all. And it's the one that I've been baking cookies since I was, 4? But it's the one recipe that I just have memorized in the back of my head because you can never go wrong with chocolate chip cookies. I mean, unless you're not a chocolate fan or unless you're allergic to chocolate or something in the cookie. But I love chocolate chip cookies, so we're baking some. All right. Now, I've already set my ovens to 375 so that we'll be able to cook the cookies pretty quickly. I usually most of the packages will tell you to cook the cookies anywhere between 9 to 11 minutes. It's Gabby and the kids. Hi, Gabby and the kids. I usually bake my cookies for about 8 minutes to 7-ish minutes. Sometimes it depends on the oven. But I like the fact that it comes out a little bit softer of a cookie, and then it still cooks for a little bit once it is out of the oven, so you don't get as crispy of a cookie as well. So, cheers, everybody. Okay. Also, it's really key to make sure when you're buying chocolate chips that you buy the semi-sweet chocolate chips. Some people will buy milk chocolate or dark chocolate. Both are great, but it definitely changes the taste of the cookie. So something to keep in mind. All right. We need a bowl, which is down here. All righty. So as we're baking cookies today, obviously I will be answering your questions as they come up. I also have, for those of you who remember from last week, I have my wonderful sombrero full of questions to answer as well. If you are waiting for my regular YouTube video to go live, it'll probably come out sometime tonight. Finishing up a couple things. I changed my usual platform that I use for editing my videos, and so it's just taking a little bit longer because I'm learning a new thing. So before we start, as always, we got to wash your hands. So I took out my watch, because even if I wasn't, in the middle of coronavirus, you got to wash your hands before you cook anytime. Just got to be safe. Do you have a song that you sing as you wash your hands? Since we've been hanging out with my niece a lot, she's only a year old, so I've been singing a lot of ABCs as I wash my hands, which, reminds me of my ABCs, and I watch her dance as I sing the ABCs a lot of times. If you're cooking, it's always good to make sure you get your wrists too, just because it's safer that way. Washing your whole hands, and what was it? For those of you who have been tuning into all the briefings on the virus, I watched Anthony Fauci on The Late Show a few weeks back, and he was talking about with Stephen Colbert, the key thing that people forget to, as they're washing their hands, is to make sure and clean your thumbs. Because we so much do the washing like this, and then our thumbs are just kind of out there, and then we forget to actually clean our thumbs, and those are probably, the appendages we use the most, whether we're using it on our phones or our smart tablets and things like that, or, just tying your shoes, you use your thumbs a lot. So key things to remember. All right. First off, we need to go ahead and combine our sugar, both brown and granulated. We need our vanilla, and we're going to need our eggs and our butter. All right, let's go make sure of how much. All right, cool. 1 cup of butter. 1 cup of butter. I like to put my butter out so it's at room temperature when I put it in. I feel that when it's a little bit softer, it just makes it easier for mixing and things like that. And for those of you who always combat the idea of like, oh, do I use real butter? Do I use Crisco? Do I use cow lard? I don't know, whatever fat you like to use. I am partial to either Crisco or butter. Some people think Crisco is gross, and that's fine. I'm using butter today. Also, for those of you who are wondering why the difference between salted butter or unsalted butter, if you're using salted butter, it can make your cookies slightly saltier because you're adding salt in as well. So just something to keep in mind. I like using salted butter with it. I think it tastes just fine. But if you're watching your sodium, something to keep in mind. Okay, measuring cups. So we need 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now, for those of you who know, I am using the Nestle Toll House recipe, Nestle Toll House, if you're a Friends watcher, because I feel like out of all of the chocolate chip cookie recipes, it's the one I like the most. The fact that it does 3/4 cup of both granulated and brown sugar, as opposed to doing like 1.5 cups of one and then, only 1/2 cup of the other. I just think it tastes better. But that's my opinion. You might choose something different. So put that in there. I know also on I remember way back in the day, Good Eats with Alton Brown, who is doing his own quarantine kitchen. If you love watching people cook, and just if you like watching Alton Brown, it's a fun one to watch if you have a moment. But he talks about all the different ways that you can change your chocolate chip cookies. So if you like a flatter cookie or a fluffier cookie, what you can do differently. It's a lot of fun to watch. I highly suggest watching it if you enjoy watching Good Eats and can find it. You should definitely watch it. But you should also watch his quarantine kitchen, because his quarantine kitchen is pretty funny. He does accidentally swear a couple of times. So if you're, not keen on swearing, just know that it accidentally pops up. But he's not, it's not going off the rails or anything. Okay, 3/4 cup. Brown sugar, 3/4 cup. Granulated sugar. Check and check. Now, usually it calls for like 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Let me make sure of that. Or maybe that's 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Did it say? Oh. Ghirardelli's recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I've usually only seen 1 teaspoon. I'm a fan of Ghirardelli right now. I like to have a little extra vanilla in my cookies. I think it tastes better. Teaspoons of vanilla, best way to go. Oh, Journey Acres, you guys are the best. I hope you guys are holding out today, holding out in this craziness. Miss all of you guys. Hopefully we can get together soon. All right, 2 teaspoons of vanilla are in. Check and check. So we'll go ahead and mix this before we add our eggs. I just had my wood spoon. There's my wood spoon. Okay, so mix all this together in the bowl. I am just hand mixing today because I thought about finding my mixer and bringing it along with me since, like I said, I don't have a kitchen right now. Thought about finding it. Didn't. I was like, there's a wood spoon. That'll work. So I'm just mixing this together so that it's all creamy and starting to blend together and looks nice. For those of you who are like, Brian, don't the instructions usually call for you to sift together the salt, baking soda, and flour first? You're right. It usually does tell you to do that with the dry ingredients. I will probably just do it a little bit later, just before I put it into my wet ingredient mixture. But I just like mixing my wet ingredients first. Okay. Looks pretty good for right now, because we'll go ahead and we'll get eggs out. Make sure that, yep, 2 eggs. 2 eggs. Mm-hmm. 2 eggs. 1 and 2. 2 eggs. Here we go. It's been crafting all day. Aww. I love crafting. I enjoy crafting, but as much as I enjoy crafting and coloring pictures like I did last week, I thought I would just change it up. Making cookies just sounded like fun. And who doesn't love cookies? Okay, 2 eggs. 2 eggs are in. A little bit of hand sanitizer. Okay. All right, so mixing our eggs into our wet ingredients. Boom. Now, one of the key things you want to make sure you're doing as you're making cookies, see, there you go. Everybody can see. That's how it's looking. So key thing with making cookies, and this is something that I remember from both old episodes of things that I've watched, but just only in my own mind too, is you don't want to overmix. Because if you overmix, you could actually put in too much air in it. That will actually help you make a flatter cookie if that's what you're going for. But I try to mix about, I don't know, what I consider a middle ground of mixing. So just making sure that it looks well mixed, but not so much that, you know, your arm's falling off or you've left the room and you've let your KitchenAid run and run and run and run. All right. So now it is time to put together our dry ingredients so that we can put them into our wet ingredients. Need another bowl. Okay. Dry ingredients include 1 cup, 2 1/4 cups flour. I am using Bob's Red Mill whole wheat pastry flour. It's a little bit finer of a grain. 2 1/4. Oh, I just had the 1/4 cup. It must still be over here. There it is. Use it for the sugar. 2 1/4 cups. Okay. Now I remember when I had to take my home ec class in freshman year, our teacher, Mrs. Burke, used to actually use the knife when you're doing flour, so you try to get out the extra air bubbles. I don't do that. I feel like they still turn out okay. I'm not looking to have exactly 2 1/4 cups, but I try to get pretty darn close. All right, we need our baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Oh, I just had that one too. That's okay. Oh, that's a tablespoon. You're only a tablespoon. Teaspoon. 1 teaspoon baking soda. Now, if I remember correctly from the Good Eats episode, if you added a little extra baking soda, that's how you can actually make your cookies flatter. But you got to be careful because they can start tasting like baking soda if you add too much. It was also the thing. My friend Charlie and I, when we were in, like 5th, 6th grade, we actually put way too much baking soda in. And so like when we took the cookies out of the oven, it was just one big sheet of cookie that tasted like baking soda. It was gross, but that's science. Okay, baking soda is added. I am going to add salt just because I like a slightly saltier cookie. It calls for a half teaspoon. I'm going to add about that. Here we go. Probably actually a little bit under, just because I already had salt in my butter. That's just something to be aware of, like I said. All right. That's enough. Okay. So it said to sift. I am not going to sift. I'm just going to use a fork and just mix it around really quick. I feel it will actually do the same trick that I need it to do, which is just get it mixed together so that the baking soda and the salt is already evenly distributed into the flour. Oh, coffee. Oh, for those of you who haven't seen, this is my coffee mug. It says, "Dear Daddy, this Christmas I'll be snuggled up in Mommy's tummy, but next Christmas I'll be cuddled up with you." It was my Christmas gift this year for my wife. I loved it so much, I basically cried. And now we're like 24 days away from tentative due date. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That was fun. It's making new noises. I love new noises. Okay. So we have mixed our mixture. So we're going to go ahead and add it into, here we go. Add a little bit at a time so you can slowly mix it all in. I'm wondering, probably should have made a double batch. Might make another batch here in a sec because I just really like cookies. I had my mom noticed when I was in high school, and my friend noticed when I was working down in Seattle that I can sometimes be a stress baker. And what that means is all of a sudden, I will start cooking and baking and, have 3 pies and, 200 cookies and things like that made. And people ask, like, "Are you okay?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just, have an entire bakery's worth of goodies now that I've made, but yeah, it's fine." Probably wasn't fine, but that's okay. At least I had something delicious to eat and to share. That's kind of one of the unfortunate things about today is while I will be able to share these with some immediate family members, I don't get to fully share all my baked goods with everybody, but that's okay. There will be a time once again when we can come together and share all the good things. I know my colleagues and I have been talking about, or at least my colleagues here at church have been talking about, how do we, once we are able to come back together, because we've missed out on doing our traditional Wednesday evening fellowship times during this season, just leading up to Easter, where we come together and have soup and just enjoy some fellowship before we do a little bit of worship together. Since we haven't truly been able to do that, where we had those soup suppers, we're thinking, how can we have like a mega soup supper once, our governors and, just we're able to be at a health and safety point where we can bring back together 200 plus people and enjoy soups together. That will be fun. And I'll probably make cookies for that. Or maybe soup. Probably cookies. Okay. Almost there. Last bit of flour going in. Put that bowl over there for now just to get it out of my way. Oh, ovens are ready. Okay. Right, once cookies are in the oven, I will start answering random questions from my sombrero here. There were some good ones last week. Hopefully there's some more good ones this week. Okay. Look at that dough. See? That dough is just at the point where you can still see a little bit of flour, but now we have to mix in our chocolate chips. And the rest of that flour will get mixed in as we're mixing in chocolate chips as well. Now, where do you like what is your chocolate chip to cookie ratio that you like? My wife and my father-in-law enjoy the chocolate chip cookie dough, but they don't enjoy having a ton of chocolate chip cookies. I believe my father-in-law has actually said, if you could make a chocolate chip cookie where you made the dough and then just like right in the middle of the cookie, there was just one chocolate chip, that would be his ideal cookie. I, on the other hand, like there to be a good consistency of cookie to chip because, so probably for the size cookies that I usually make, that's probably 4 to 5 chocolate chips within it's probably 4 to 5 chocolate chips within one cookie, which some people would be like, oh, that's just crazy. That's too many chocolate chips. I disagree. I think it's just the right amount to give you a little bit of that awesome semi-sweetness in between each piece. All right. We have chocolate chip cookie dough. Now, the other thing you can do if you, so some people like their cookies not to flatten out too much, and obviously, it's about baking soda and stuff. But the other thing you can do too is you can actually put your dough in the fridge for a little bit, and it will allow for them to kind of stay a little more consistent in like whatever circle that you scoop them out into. It's just a thought. But like I said, I'm just going to be doing this straight from bowl onto the cookie sheets. Okay. And just for fun. Yep. That's ready. Okay. So, let's see. We need this closet toast trays. That's a good cookie sheet. All right, we've got our cookie sheets. Time for baking. Wash my hands again, since I ate with them. Elemental P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Also, has anybody else really actually just found themselves truly just always singing a song now when you're washing your hands? Just to make sure that you're washing your hands long enough? I definitely have. And not just ABCs. The other day I was singing the chorus from Hot Blooded. So that was a good song to be singing. If I find another random song that just happens to be going through my head at the time, sometimes that's what I sing. Let's see. Okay, go. Already got cookie sheets. Spoons. Spoons. Let me just make sure. Yeah, that's too big. I'll be glad when I get back to having my own kitchen, because one of the things that I was given, I forget if I was given it as a wedding gift or if I was given it as like a graduation gift or something like that. But my mom got me a cookie scooper. So it just makes just the right size, or at least what I consider the right size cookie, which is probably about that big. Just big enough that it's like a fun treat, but not so big that your stomach hurts because it was too big of a cookie. And just the right size too, that when you eat the cookie, you can have 2 or possibly 3, and you don't feel like you've overdone it. Do you have a perfect amount of cookies that you'd like to have when you're eating cookies and milk or cookies and coffee? For me, I think it's definitely 3. I think 3 is the ideal number. Because just a little extra indulgence more than 2. Because I think 2 when I was a kid, that was the magic number for my parents to me. They'd be like, all right, 2 cookies. You can have your 2 cookies. And it's like, oh, but 3 would be so much better. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Are any of you perfectionists when it comes to making cookies? For instance, when you're putting the cookie dough onto your tray, do they have to be perfect circles or perfect spheres every time you do it, or you just kind of slop it on there like, well, we'll see how it comes out? I find myself somewhere in between. I like it to have a little bit of consistency, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I think it adds to their flavor somehow. Mm-hmm. I never would ever had before. I pick them up. I think some more. I go while away the hours, conversing with the flowers. All right, there's one and one more for this tray. All right, now since this is the first time I'm baking cookies in this oven. I've done turkeys in it. But I've not done cookies, so I'm going to cook these ones for 8 minutes this time, just to make sure that they're getting enough cooking time. Oven timer. Ooh, make sure I don't do hours. 8 minutes. There it is. Start. All right. Upper oven is going with cookies. Now we get the lower oven ready. I totally don't understand this cookie sheet. I think, okay. I'm saying that and I'm not showing you. So this cookie sheet, okay, it's bubbled up on one side, which like it's supposed to be like that. But then on the other side of the tray, like it's definitely more so that like things don't fall off as easily. But now I'm not sure which side I use. I'm going to use this side, even though I feel like it's wrong. Nope, I don't know. I thought I figured it out. I didn't. Okay. Ooh, that's a lot of chips. Okay. Bloop. I'm hoping, well, I don't know, some of you might be a little averse to it, but I always have to test my cookie dough before I make cookies with it. Maybe I am using the bottom. I could be wrong. But I always like to test my cookie dough first because you'll know once you've tested your cookie dough whether you feel like you added something wrong or if you need to add just a little more of something else. So like I've definitely tasted a cookie dough once and learned, that I added too much salt or I added, too much, baking soda or the flour was off or tasting funny. And it's good to know that before, you go and bake a bunch of cookies and then bring it to a friend's house and they're like, these cookies taste funny. I'd rather not have that happen. Okay, 2 more. 1. And 2. Okay. Lower oven. Here we go. We'll see if this is wrong. Feels right. Maybe it's wrong. Open timer. Oh, wrong way. 8 minutes. Start. Okay. That one is going. Wash my hands. We're in the money. We got a lot of money. Fix it, get all off. Okay, so those are in, which is great. So it means we have a couple moments. All right, here we go. Random questions from the sombrero. Let's see what this question is. What song lyric best mirrors your life motto? I mean, I kind of jokingly want to currently say Olaf's song of Everything Will Make Sense When I'm Older, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with that for right now because, Olaf just makes sense. It's either that or, I'm so excited for summer. So let's see. Next one. Which pop artist do you secretly wish to be? A pop artist I secretly wish to be. I don't know if he's really a pop. Well, no, he's not a pop artist. But if I could secretly be any sort of musician or musical artist, I don't know. Beethoven? I know that sounds crazy. Maybe it is. Or I rewatched Super Bowl 41's halftime show with Prince, and just listening to the guys, all the production guys talk about it and how crazy it was and how he was just so ready to go on, even though it was like downpouring rain and all that. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So Justin Timberlake, he seems like he has fun. Maybe it'd be fun to be Justin Timberlake. Okay. Ooh, here we go. Here's a couple. What made-up word would you incorporate into the English language if you could? Oh, this is an easy one. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Just because it's the best word for everything. Mary Poppins wouldn't have made it up if it didn't make sense to have in the English language. When is the last time you can remember feeling totally at peace? Well, I always find myself totally at peace when I can just sit outside or just sit and watch creation for a moment. Because all of a sudden it just feels like everything else from the world goes away. There's no, there's nothing else in that moment that is taking me away from just enjoying the creation and what's around me. When was the last time you experienced nostalgia? I mean, probably the last time I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's a very nostalgic thing. I think back to, having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in your field trip lunches, and it'd be slightly smushed because somehow you sat on it along the way, even though your lunchbox was next to you the whole time. And It was just always that smushed flavor of a PB&J was something tasty. "38 seconds. All right. Need some cooling racks. Now, as some of you might know, sometimes you need to let the cookies sit on the tray for just a little bit before putting them on the cooling racks. That way they have a chance to actually firm up a bit, so it makes it not only easier to transfer, but they don't fall apart, which is kind of nice, especially when you go to eat them later. Okay. Well, that's fun. Okay. Thank you. Let's look at it. Oh. All right, you gotta come over here. You always gotta see the cookies as they're coming out of the oven. Do you see them? Oh, those look nice. Those are some pretty cookies. All right. Let me grab some hot pads, pull those out, and we'll get them ready to go onto our cooling rack in about a minute. Because as much as I want to just fully transfer them off, I got to make sure that they are fully firmed up as well. Oh. Here we go. Safety first, folks. Always make sure you have your oven mitts. Maybe I will give those one more minute to sit in there. I just want to make sure they're all the way cooked through. We did use some raw ingredients. So, since we have one more minute, we'll answer one more question. Come here, number 18. All right. Oh, when was the last time you really laughed out loud? Oh, I laughed out loud this morning. Somebody, oh gosh, what was it? Oh, somebody posted a thing where it was Jesus at the Last Supper, like the Da Vinci painting. It was Jesus at the Last Supper, and instead of having all of his disciples like actually sitting around him, they were all on like little Zoom calls, and I thought that was pretty funny. And I was like, yeah, that makes me laugh out loud. Almost there. And then the other tray's almost done too. These are exciting times. Actually, this will work out perfectly because when I pull out this first one and put it down on the rack to let it cool for a moment, the other one will just be about ready, and it'll give it a little bit extra time to sit in its oven. There we go. Okay. Oh, beautiful cookies. Those ones there. "30 more seconds. Oh, I should just put another tray together. Since I just saw this one. Also, that was the other question I had for myself, and now I've forgotten what the question was. I was looking. Oh, that was the question. I'll look over here. Nope. There goes the other oven. One more minute. Okay. Put together another tray. Okay. We are getting there, folks. Getting cookies made. I'm so glad that you're here joining me today. Thank you. Those were some beautifully done cookies. I'm excited to eat them myself. I actually brought milk just in case they cool down in time to eat. Because, you got to taste test your cookies. One time, because this was like way back when Sting and I first started not first started dating. We were married by this time. But she decided that she really wanted cookie dough, but like didn't want to make cookies. She just really wanted chocolate chip cookie dough. So what we did was we replaced. Thank you, Evan. You did it so nicely. We replaced the eggs with yogurt, so that it was we were putting in a raw ingredient that you could actually eat, as opposed to you're not technically supposed to have a ton of raw egg. So we wanted to make sure that it was slightly safe and that we could eat it for the whole week. So we did it with yogurt, and it was really good. And we had cookie dough to eat all week, which was fun. Okay, time to pull out that other sheet of cookies. Oh boy. No, everything's fine. They're a little more done than the other ones were. I can't tell why. Okay. Yep, okay. I might have cooked them on the bottom of the pan. I could have done that wrong. Yeah. There we go. All done. Well, at least those ones are. Other ones are looking good, getting ready to come off. I'm going to finish getting these ones together. Before I go ahead and remove the other ones from their tray. But we are looking good here, folks. We have some great cookies. There we go. 12 more cookies are ready to go in the oven. Boom. Wow! That one tried to get away. There we go. Oven timer. Put it on for 9 minutes since clearly you need a little more time. Oh, that's too much time. All right. That's going. We got enough basically for probably one more thing. Let me grab a spatula or a flipper. Everybody has different names for these. I call it pancake flipper. I call it a spatula. I know a spatula is also another name for the thing you use to scrape bowls. Chocolate chips taste good. Okay. But I always call it a spatula, and the people are like, what? Do you mean the flipper? Pancake turner? Yeah, pancake turner. That's true. That's what it also is. It can flip a pancake. All right. First batch is off their tray. Now we can go ahead and put the last cookies on, which will be great to do. And then that way we can get it in the oven. Then we'll have all these cookies. Wah! There goes our spatula. We'll have all the cookies made. That'd be great. And a little joy to the day. So I don't know about you, but based on the size of my cookie trays, I always like to try to stay like within, I don't know, depending on the size, anywhere between 12 to 24 cookies per tray. 24 is probably for like either a half sheet or just a little bit over a half sheet. I can probably fit 24 on if they're small enough. Sometimes I need a full sheet, like in a commercial size kitchen. But I try to keep it to even numbers because I don't know if it's OCD or what it is, but I really like to have even be able to count. So it's like, all right, I have 2 dozen cookies already made, third dozen's in the oven, and unfortunately, I'm going to make 8 cookies on this last tray. So now my numbers are totally thrown off. So I got 40. Oh, it's the answer. It's the answer to the question. I have 42 cookies. That's what that must have been what the question of life, and everything else was. 42. All right. Clap our hands one more time. Also, for all of you trying to stay healthy out there, make sure you're drinking your water. While we here at Coffee Wednesday love to drink our coffee, it's also good to stay hydrated. All right, get these last 8 cookies in the oven. I wonder if that was 2. Let's pick the key first. See if that does anything different. All right, boom. Last batch is in. I put them on a higher rack this time because the last ones from that one, I actually got pretty brown on the bottom. Here, lift one off to show you. They got pretty brown on the bottom, which is okay. It's fine. Yeah, see, they got a little, I don't know if you can see that with the light, a little overdone on the bottom. But that's okay. I mean, some people like a crispy chocolate chip cookie, and that'll add a little bit more texture to it, and it's nice once it's in the glass of milk because it'll soften it up a bit. Okay. I wonder if this, okay, I know we've been talking about this specific baking tray. I think this baking tray, it might be reversible. So you can use either side depending on what exactly you're doing. Once again, I'm probably wrong. But maybe. Okay, so those dozens are made. This can get ready to get washed, which is great. Probably actually run everything through the dishwasher just to be on the safe side with everything else going on. Okay, we got a little over 2 minutes before our next batch is coming out. So it seems like it's a good time to answer another random question. Let's see what our random question is. So what's up here? Gotcha. All right. Our next random question is, I think I answered this one last time, but I will answer it again. What is the scariest dream you've ever had? My scariest dream is slightly silly. So when I was like 8 or 9, maybe 10 or 11, I actually had a dream where I was in like a Safeway and I was walking past the seafood section, and just right next to the seafood section was this little kiosk with a pyramid of live lobsters. They were all there, they had their rubber bands around their claws and whatnot. And I'm walking by, and somehow as I'm walking by, the table of the kiosk that all these lobsters are on fails. And all of a sudden, all the lobsters come falling out onto the floor, and somehow the rubber bands come off their claws, and they started clipping at my legs. It scared me so much that I woke up and was trying to sweep the lobsters off of my legs. And I cannot tell you how scary it was, but obviously scary enough that I remember it to this day. And it is the one that I'm like, nope, never want to do that again. All right, next question. What's my very first memory? So the very first memory that I don't know if it's fully a memory or if it's also just because of what people have told me, was when I got my second set of stitches. So my first set of stitches, for those of you who don't know, I got into my pointer finger on my left hand because I was playing with one of those noisemakers when I was like 4 years old. You know, one of the ones that like spins round and around, is made out of tin, and it clicks. Well, as a very inquisitive 4-year-old, I decided to put my finger inside and twist. And then I cut my finger on the noisemaker and had to go get a couple stitches in my finger. So that was one. But the one that I remember, like to what I actually think I remember, cookies are done. So the way the other story goes is that I was just about to go into kindergarten, and I believe it was my second round of kindergarten. I went to kindergarten twice because it was just so much fun. So I was getting ready for my second round of kindergarten, and I was spinning around in circles the night before. We were watching Disney sing-along songs. They used to make them on VHS tapes. And we were spinning. I was spinning around in circles because they were doing the last song, and I was having fun. And I tripped. And I believe I tripped over my sister's doll, and I hit my head on the flat side of a wall, and I opened up the skin on the back of my head. Now, I don't remember much after. I remember being in the car. I remember, I don't really remember much other than once I got my stitches, I remember the doctor telling my mom that I didn't have to wash my hair. And as a 6-year-old, that was the coolest thing ever, that I didn't have to wash my hair for like 2 weeks. I thought it was so awesome. All right, cookies. Whoa. Boom. Cookies. They look so pretty. All right, we'll let them sit there. They're actually like the perfect consistency of brown on the top. Like, I don't want the whole thing to be golden brown, but I want the golden brownness to just start showing on the cookie, because I feel like then it really, like, it stays the right amount of soft, but there's just that little bit of, a little bit of texture as you start biting in. It gives just that bit of crunch, but not too much, that it's like, oh, this is a good cookie. All right, what time is it? 3:54. We got 6 minutes. Yeah. All right. Waiting on these really cool ovens that sing to you. Well, they don't sing. Somebody starts playing the piano when the timer is done, which is kind of a fun thing. Let's see. Next question. What living celebrity do you most identify with? Okay. I don't know. It's like a combination of many of them. Because, in some lights, and maybe it's just because of the things that I watch and things that I do, in some lights, I believe that I identify, like, a lot of times. So I love watching John Mulaney's stand-up specials and a lot of things that John Mulaney has done. And I don't always I'm like, yes, I know exactly those things that you're talking about, but I always there's something about it that's just like, yep, that makes sense. I resemble with that. And the same thing goes for like Stephen Colbert. Just the way he does his comedy and the way he talks about things, it makes me smile. And Seth Meyers, both of them, wonderful people. All right. What's the last thing you did just for yourself? The last thing that I did just for myself. Well, I mean, the last thing I did just for myself was going to a hockey game, probably, which was really fun. And making cookies today. I kind of did for myself. I kind of did because I like giving cookies to other people too. So, but it was just to be out of the joy of making stuff for other people. What's the most disturbing thing you've ever witnessed? I don't know. Most disturbing thing I've ever witnessed. Oh, I don't know if it's disturbing, but it was definitely like a shocker thing. When I was playing football in high school, I watched my friend Brian get his wrist broken during a kickoff return, and then saw his wrist afterwards that did not look like a wrist. The reason why I think about that one too, because it also brings me an unfortunate slight amount of joy, because when the trainers got over to him, the high school trainers who were training to be trainers, and they're supposed to ask specific questions to learn about what happened, and they were like, "What's wrong?" And he, middle of a high school football game, screams out, "What the F do you think is wrong?" And everyone on the field laughed, because we all knew his wrist was broken, and they could clearly tell his wrist was broken, but they were just doing their protocol. And it was just funny, because it's like, come on, it's his wrist. All right. Okay. So this is good to know for the next time that I'm baking. So these cookies came out of the bottom oven, and I don't know if you can tell from there, but they're definitely slightly more brown than the cookies from the top oven when they first came out. And that's okay, but it's just good to know that the bottom oven cooks a little bit warmer than the top oven does. So the next time when I'm baking cookies, I can adjust my times just right. All right, we'll go ahead and cancel both ovens, because we don't need the ovens on anymore. Goodbye there. Oh, man. All right. Well, we'll let those ones cool. I'll get these ones off the tray. And then we'll try one of our cookies. See how it turned out. I'm sure they turned out pretty good, but you always have to taste test. Cookies are also some of the things whenever I go on summer trips with students. I always like to try to make cookies before we go and have 2 or 3 bags of cookies ready to go. Whether it's while we're on the road or while we're sitting in, our housing places or whatnot. It's always nice to just have some homemade cookies. It's a little piece of home on the trip. Oh, so one of the questions I asked my students on Sunday as we were talking was, if you could give a historical figure a wedgie, who would you give a wedgie to? And one of my wonderful students said Jesus. And I laughed so hard, because, it really was the perfect answer. Because I thought about how, what kind of underwear was Jesus wearing? It was some sort of loinclothish thing. So, how would that work wedgie-wise? Would it just, I don't know. There's so many questions. But definitely wouldn't want to give one to William Wallace. Wouldn't work out. I think I would want to give, somebody said John Wilkes Booth. I thought that was pretty funny. If I had to give a wedgie to a historical figure, part of me want to give one Teddy Roosevelt. I don't know. I would just like to hear what he would say to it. It'd just be funny. All right. Well, folks. Oh, we got to taste a cookie before you go. All right. Here we go. This one looks good. It's one of the first ones to come out. Look at that cookie. See? You see all those little wrinkles in it? That's how you know it's good. All right. Let's see how it did. Yep. That's a good cookie. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm so glad you were here. Know that you are loved. May the Spirit go with you, and enjoy your coffee. We'll see you next time.